In 1981, a 30-year-old sales executive from New York named Howard Schultz noticed something unusual in his sales data. A small retail operation in Seattle with 4 locations was ordering an unusually high number of drip coffee makers. He decided to fly out and see the place himself. What he found when he arrived at Pike Place Market changed everything. The store was called Starbucks. It sold coffee beans, coffee equipment, and loose-leaf teas. It did not sell a single cup of prepared coffee, but the beans were extraordinary. The staff was knowledgeable in ways that nobody in American retail food was knowledgeable, and the owners, Jerry Baldwin, Zev Siegel, and Gordon Boker, had built something that felt nothing like any retail experience Schultz had ever had. He left Seattle convinced that the Starbucks founders were sitting on something they did not fully understand. He quit his New York job and called Baldwin to ask for a meeting. He wanted to come work for them. Baldwin said no. Schultz persisted. A year of calls and letters followed. Eventually, Baldwin relented and hired Schultz as director of retail operations and marketing in 1982. Schultz moved his wife from New York to Seattle to take a job that paid significantly less than his previous one. He believed it was a right bet. Howard Schultz was born in 1953 in the Canarsie neighborhood of Brooklyn, New York, in a housing project called the Bayview Houses. His father was a truck driver who never made much money and who, when Howard was 7 years old, slipped on ice on a delivery and broke his ankle without workers' compensation, without disability insurance, without any financial safety net at all. The family collapsed into a kind of poverty that Schultz has described as formative in ways that never left him. His father spent years cycling through low-wage jobs, always one injury or illness away from crisis, never fully recovering. Schultz grew up watching a capable man be destroyed by a system that offered him nothing. He decided, at some point during that childhood, that he would not live the same life. He was a good enough athlete to attract a football scholarship to Northern Michigan University, the first person in his family to attend college. He graduated with a degree in communications, worked in sales, and eventually landed at Hammerplast, a Swedish housewares company. He was good at his job. He was making money. And then he flew to Seattle and found Starbucks. The insight that changed everything came in 1983, the year after he joined the company. Baldwin sent Schultz to Milan to attend an international housewares show. Schultz spent 2 days wandering the city between meetings and found himself in the espresso bar culture that permeated every neighborhood in northern Italy. The bars were not restaurants. They were not diners. They were small, fast, intensely social gathering places where the barista was a craftsman. The coffee was extraordinary, and the experience of drinking a cappuccino standing at a bar counter was a daily ritual for millions of people. Schultz had never seen anything like it. He could not stop thinking about what it would look like in America. He flew back to Seattle and went straight to Baldwin with a proposal. Starbucks should stop selling beans and start selling drinks. It should become an American version of the Italian espresso bar, with the same quality, the same craftsmanship, the same ritual, but adapted for a country that did not yet know it needed this. Schultz believed it was the most obvious business opportunity he had ever seen. Baldwin said no. The founders of Starbucks had a specific vision for what the company was. A specialty coffee bean retailer in the tradition of Peet's Coffee, their spiritual ancestor. They were not in the restaurant business. They were not in the quick service food business. They were not interested in becoming something they had not set out to become. Schultz argued. He brought data, traveled the country speaking to people about coffee, and pushed his case for over a year. The answer remained no. He resigned in 1985. He spent the following months raising money from investors, many of whom found his idea difficult to evaluate. The American specialty coffee concept simply did not exist yet, and therefore had no comparable model. He was rejected by 217 of the 242 investors he approached. The 25 who said yes gave him enough to open his first Giornale café in Seattle in April 1986. It served espresso drinks, played Puccini, and charged $1.50 for a cappuccino at a time when most Americans had never heard the word. Within a year, he had 3 locations serving 1,000 customers a day. And early 1987, the founders of Starbucks decided they had enough. Baldwin and Boker wanted to focus on their other ventures. The price to buy the company, including the 6 existing stores, the roasting plant, and the Starbucks name, was $3.8 million. They called Howard Schultz. The man they had turned down twice was the obvious buyer. He raised the money and closed the deal in August 1987. He was 34 years old and had just paid $3.8 million for a company whose name, whose real estate, and whose staff formed the infrastructure for the vision the founders had told him was impossible. What followed is the most documented coffee company expansion in history. By 1992, Starbucks had 165 locations and went public on the NASDAQ, an initial offering of $17 per share. By 1996, it had over 1,000 locations. By 2000, it had more than 3,000. In 2000, Schultz stepped down as CEO to focus on other roles within the company. By 2007, Starbucks had expanded so rapidly and so indiscriminately that it had begun to feel like a chain, a commodity, not a craft. Same-store sales were declining. The stock had fallen nearly 50% from its peak. Schultz wrote a now-famous internal memo to the leadership team in 2007, describing how the relentless pursuit of growth had stripped away the soul of the company. The memo was leaked and published and became one of the most widely read documents in American corporate culture. In 2008, the board asked Schultz to come back as CEO. He did. He closed 600 underperforming stores in a single day. He shut down every Starbucks location for 3.5 hours for mandatory barista retraining, a decision that cost the company approximately $6 million in lost revenue for one afternoon. And that sent a signal to the market and to the staff that quality, not volume, was the North Star again. The stock recovered. The company recovered. Schultz stepped down again in 2017, returned briefly as interim CEO in 2022 during another difficult period, and has remained one of the most studied figures in American business leadership. Starbucks today operates more than 35,000 locations in 80 countries. Its market capitalization has exceeded $120 billion. It generates more than $35 billion in annual revenue. The 4-store Seattle coffee bean shop that Howard Schultz flew out to investigate in 1981 because of an unusual sales pattern is now a global institution that employs nearly 400,000 people. The founders who told him his espresso bar idea was not what Starbucks was about sold him the company for $3.8 million. That $3.8 million became, at the peak of Starbucks' value, over $100 billion. The return on the founders' rejection, measured in what Schultz built with what they sold him, is among the largest in the history of American retail. The story of Howard Schultz is not primarily a story about coffee. It is a story about a specific kind of intelligence, the intelligence to look at something that exists, understand what it could become, and pursue that understanding when everyone with authority over the decision tells you that you are wrong. Baldwin and Boker were not fools. They built a good company. They had a clear vision, and they executed it well. What they could not do was see what Schultz saw in that espresso bar in Milan in 1983. The inability to see it cost them everything they had built. The willingness to see it gave Schultz everything he has. Subscribe to The Reckoning. Every Tuesday, the true story behind the empires the world knows by name but doesn't know by origin. The decisions that changed everything. The moments nobody was watching. Subscribe. Hit the bell.